variety of different settings. But one of the things that I have always come to appreciate about those individuals who have a mental health issue is that you should never, ever underestimate. There's always, always a sense of humanity, a sense of conscience, a sense of doing what is right in all of us. And despite whatever the mental health issues may be, whatever the problems may be, those sense of goodness and those sense of care will always come through. I remember when I was in San Jose, I was working in a nonprofit and we were dealing with rather depressed youngsters, rather hardcore youngsters, rather difficult youngsters. This was in a day treatment program, and these individuals had done some horrible things, either to themselves or to other individuals. And so they were locked up. But one of the things that the judge and I worked out was that they would go into treatment. They would go into treatment half a day, they would go back into juvenile hall, and then hopefully through that, they will then demonstrate to the courts that they were deserving of some kind of probation. And so one of the things that we did in that day treatment program was that we had sessions. And we would kind of share with one another about all the trials and tribulations, about life and our difficulties and so on. Back then, I was a struggling psychologist, didn't have a whole lot of money, and I was lamenting how difficult it was to grow a family and then go back and forth between San Francisco and San Jose. And one of the things that a lot of those youngsters were convicted of were really hard things. Something that you would never somehow think that these youngsters would have any sense of trying to give back to the community, to give back to society, and give back to one another. And so it was interesting in those kinds of group sessions because out of that, you started to bond with these individuals. You started to understand what caused them to hurt individuals, what caused them to somehow not feel anymore, what caused them to not empathize anymore. And so invariably what happened in our group session was that there was always a break. And back in those days, I was on the Board of Education, so I had to come back a little earlier. And so the youngsters, teenagers, youth, they would have their sort of smoke break, and it was on the second floor, and it overlooked into the parking lot. Back in those days, like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of money, but I had a car. The problem with that car was that it only went one way, and that was forward. You could go backwards. And so I picked a spot in that particular lot area that was on a slight incline. And so I would just simply, and San Francisco, you don't need any reverse at all. There's always a hill somewhere. And so you just simply go slide down, and then let you go forward. And that's how I went to work. And then I parked, and I went on that little slight incline in that parking area, and then I would then get on neutral, and it would slide down. And that's how I went back and forth for a couple of years. And so those kids saw me. And after a while, I remember distinctly that afternoon, and they decided to sit down and talk about things and so on. And so they said that, Dr. Yee, I want to talk to you about what your life is and your situation. And I said, fine. I want to hear what you think about my life and some of the things that I've done, and let's talk about it. And lo and behold, they started to talk about my lifestyle. And I said, well, I appreciate that, and we should talk about that. And they said, Dr. Yee, a man of your stature, you should not have a car that only goes one way. That is just not right. That is just not right. We see so many other youngsters, they have all kinds of cars. And they're half the age of you, and they've got all kinds of cars that go fast, sideways, backwards, whatever way, but they don't go one way. And because of all the things that you have done for us, we want to somehow thank you. We want to say to you that we owe you a lot. And I want you to tell us what kind of car you want. pick out the color, you pick out the radio, you pick out the tire, and we will get that for you tomorrow morning. And here for some kids that were convicted, they're in jail, they're in juvenile hall for maybe 1 or 2 years, and they can't think about anything else except doing time. But somehow, in the depth of their consciousness, in the depth of their feelings, they felt that their psychologist should have something better. Now, they steal it, but they're going to get something better. And that, I think, is a story that just simply invigorates me about helping those individuals who are in need of help. Those individuals will always have a chance to do a lot better. All we need to do is to stretch our hand out, our heart out, and give them that chance. And when you do that, then all kinds of magics happen. And so every time I am in front of a group of mental health professionals, my hats are off to you. Because while we think about it as science, a lot of it is magic. That connection that you make between a therapist and a professional and that particular client is something that is absolutely incredible. And when you have that linkage, and when you have that time, and when you have that moment, it is something that you will never ever forget. The opportunity to somehow unlock something that has been locked up so long. And so I want to come by here to again thank all of you for 50 years of opening up and providing so many individuals with hope when many individuals did not think that there was hope. It is because of you that allows us to be what we call San Francisco. It is you who allows us to be that compassionate city that we are. And wherever I am and whatever I'm doing, be it in San Francisco or in Sacramento,